Can you give me a little bit of a story or an example of what you mean by taking a reactive investment and turning it into a proactive, just so that the folks at home understand what you're saying there?
Yeah. Well, we mentioned earlier about the battered career syndrome in the job market, but also of late, last 10 years, we're all suffering from what's called the battered investor syndrome. So those reactive investments that were doing quite well before we shifted to the new normal, and we recalibrated those returns, have gotten very minimal returns right now. So the reactive investments aren't really growing like they need to. You can leverage by transferring some of your reactive investments to a new line on your net worth statement called value of business owned. You still have the asset, but now they're going to work with you behind those to get a higher return.
Would that be like a 401k where someone's saving money for retirement and they can kind of roll that over into a loan there?
Yeah, or taking some of my stock portfolio and liquidating that and shifting it to that new line on my net worth that says value of business. Now I'm behind that. Those other investments, somebody else is really orchestrating whether it's a good or bad return. I really can't impact that.
I want to just share this for anybody watching this who's maybe struggling to grasp this, or maybe you're going, gosh, what exactly are you talking about? As an example, if we put money into a mutual fund, you and I might make 10% a year return on return if it's a good year, 10% return every year. But as a business owner, if you put in $100,000 into a business, a lot of times you can make a 20% return or a 30%. I've seen people double their money, triple their money. It's very hard to do that in the stock market. You can do it, and there is people that do.
Sure.
But when you're betting on yourself, you get that sort of return. You can make a huge return.
Absolutely.
If you're an aggressive marketer. So it's not. I don't believe it's as risky to invest in yourself as it is to invest in a bunch of companies that you can't control the results there. So now moving on to pro number 6. Franchisees often receive great training and support. Meaning that if I buy a franchise, I'm getting some great training. What kind of training and support can I get if I'm buying a franchise?
It's very extensive, and the reason that's in place is because the franchisor is focused on getting that franchisee and their team ramped up as fast as possible, because it's about a return on that franchisor's investment also. At the earliest stages of getting you started, your royalty payments are at their smallest. But the franchisor is giving the most amount of training, support, guidance, and help to get beyond that startup phase so that there's a win-win where the royalty payments grow and then the franchisor can start to recapture some of their returns.
And just so I can give an example for the folks at home, let's say that I own a franchise, I just bought one, and it does $100,000 a year of gross revenue. Typically, what kind of royalties go back to the corporate office, to the franchisor?
It varies depending on the industry.
Okay.
Some franchisors provide a lot of back office type of support that franchisee would have to invest in themselves, so they charge a higher royalty.
Okay.
Some of the franchisors actually do collection and manage those things for the franchisee, so that would be slightly higher. But anywhere between 5 to 10% is pretty typical in a franchise system.
So just to give an example, if I was bringing in $100,000 a year of gross revenue, and let's say my royalties to corporate were 5%, corporate makes $5,000. So they have a desire to get me to be as successful as possible quickly, right? So that they can make more and more royalties. I mean, It's a win-win.
Yeah, it's referred to as an interdependent relationship. The franchisee doesn't work for the franchisor, and the franchisor doesn't work for the franchisee. They come together in this license called an interdependent win-win relationship.
I just love the way that relationship works. That's one of the big, most exciting things about the franchise world is that corporate, who sometimes can people might say, well, the guys at corporate don't care. Well, in franchising, the guys at corporate get paid a percentage of what you get paid. So they're trying to push you to be as successful as you can quickly. They're trying to equip you and empower you. I just love that relationship. To me, that's a really neat part of franchising.
True win-win.
Now, on the con side of that, I guess you would say that you really have to have a lot of training from corporate. I mean, they're pushing you all the time.
Well, it's depending on your desire to excel in that model. The better franchise, what we call world-class franchisors, have not only initial training, but they have ongoing education and training to continually fine-tune the skills of their franchisees, but also bring them back to basics. Because what happens is franchisees get into a rhythm of following the system and it works so well, they stop doing it.
Yeah.
They get out of sync.
So it's a deal where you might feel like, man, corporate's really on me about compliance, well, they want you to be successful. And so I think it's, all of us have had a great basketball coach or sports coach or some sort of great teacher, and sometimes they have to push us out of our comfort zone to make sure we're successful. So
Absolutely. Some of your best mentors do that all the time.